You know that feeling when you feel like someone's controlling you, but you can't quite put your finger on how? It's not like they're shouting or making obvious threats. Nah, it's way quieter than that. It's that one text that just floods you with guilt, or a single question that plants a tiny seed of doubt you just can't get out of your head. Well, let's get into it, because what you're feeling, it isn't magic. It's a playbook.
I mean, this quote just hits the nail on the head, right? That's the kind of power we're talking about, the kind that doesn't even need to raise its voice to get what it wants. But here's the thing you have to understand. This kind of influence, it is not random. It's not some personality trait that a person is just born with.
And that is the most important thing to get. I mean, think about it. That subtle guilt trip in a relationship, or that colleague who just quietly chips away at your confidence at work. Those aren't just random acts of meanness. No way. They are deliberate, calculated moves. It's like turning a key in a lock, designed to pull these invisible levers inside our own minds.
So what are these invisible levers anyway? Well, they're not some secret, complicated code. It's actually much simpler and kind of more sinister than that. They're built from the very things that make us human, the things we rely on every single day. Trust, empathy, our deep-seated need for connection.
See, a manipulator doesn't have to invent new weaknesses in you. They're much smarter than that. They just skillfully exploit the ones that are already part of our programming. They use our own human defaults, our trust, our kindness, against us, basically turning the very fabric of our social lives into a weapon.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual mechanics of it all. Because if you want to defend against these tactics, or honestly, even just understand the world around you a little better, you have to be able to name them first. So let's start with a clear definition of what we're even talking about here.
Now, it's really important to get this straight. Dark psychology isn't some formal field of study you'd find in a university textbook. It's more like a catch-all term, right? It pulls ideas from social psychology, from criminology, even from marketing. But what ties all these different threads together is one thing: the calculated, cold intent to control another person.
And under this big, dark psychology umbrella, you find all these tactics. And I bet some of these will sound familiar. You've got gaslighting, which is all about rewriting your reality until you don't know what's up or down. Love bombing. That's when they drown you in affection just to drop your guard. And good old guilt tripping, turning every single conversation into a debt that you suddenly owe them. The scary part? They all work by hijacking our very natural need to trust and connect with others.
So this really lays out the massive difference between healthy influence and dark psychology. Look, healthy influence, that's a win-win. It's open, it's honest. But dark psychology, that's a whole different beast. It's purely about what they want, and it's built on a foundation of lies and deception. It doesn't build trust, it takes the trust you have and turns it into a weapon.
And please, don't make the mistake of thinking this stuff is only for, cult leaders or some kind of supervillain. No, this is the colleague who smiles to your face and then quietly takes all the credit for your work. It's that random person in your DMs with a story that's just a little too perfect. It's even the partner who dangles affection like a carrot to keep you hooked. It is everywhere.
So up until now, we've been talking about defense, how to spot this, how to protect yourself. But now, to really understand this from every possible angle, we have to flip the entire script. Because the same principles used to manipulate you can also be used to build power. So what if you understood the system so well that you are no longer just a piece on the board?
All right, now we're going to explore a totally different perspective. This one is way colder, way more strategic. We're looking at this through a Machiavellian lens now. And just to be clear, this next part isn't about being nice or fair. The sources we're pulling from literally describe this mindset as a path to psychological domination.
This quote really gets to the core of this whole mindset. From this point of view, the world doesn't reward you for being a good, decent person. It rewards control. So the goal, according to this philosophy, is to stop being so accommodating and start becoming, well, untouchable. And the very first principle in this framework? You have to destroy the part of you that craves recognition. That need for applause, for someone to pat you on the back, for validation, that is seen as the #1 weakness an opponent will use against you. In this view, real power moves in silence. It works for results, not for praise.
So, from this perspective, how do you command respect? Well, it's not through love or kindness. It's through what the source calls respectful fear. And this isn't about making big, loud threats. It's all about conditioning. It means becoming unpredictable so nobody can ever guess your next move. It means when a boundary is crossed, the consequences are swift, cold, and final.
You even weaponize your own absence, creating more tension when you're gone than when you're there. And this is crucial. You never explain and you never defend your actions. And that's really the core of it all. Your calculated silence becomes your greatest tool of control. The thinking goes like this. When people have no idea what you're thinking, they start filling in the blanks with their own fears and anxieties. They start changing their behavior just to avoid getting a negative reaction out of you. And just like that, you've gained control without ever saying a single word.
Okay, so according to this framework, once you've erased the ego and learned how to command respect, what's next? The next step is all about building your external armor. It's about crafting an image, a persona, that's designed to paralyze your opposition before they can even think about making a move. Because in this world, perception is infinitely more powerful than the truth. What people believe you are is way more important than what you actually are. See, everyone sees what you appear to be, but very few will ever know the real you. Your persona, your reputation, that becomes your primary weapon.
From this point of view, the highest form of power is the one that operates from the shadows. The person you see out front, pulling the strings, they're also the one with a giant target on their back. The true master lets someone else take the spotlight and all the risk that comes with it, while they quietly guide things from behind the scenes.
So this is the persona you're trying to build. You become a total mystery. You say very little, so every word you speak has massive impact. You move rarely, but every move you make completely shifts the landscape. You'll always appear calm, totally above all the drama. You bury your humanity, your wants, your fears, your pain, so deep that no one can ever use it against you. You literally become an idea wrapped in power, not a person they can figure out.
Okay, so we've looked at the tactics from the victim's point of view, how to defend yourself. And we've just examined the cold, hard principles of how to take power for yourself. Now it's time to bring it all together and turn that lens back on ourselves one last time.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most unsettling truth of all. To truly understand these tactics, to see them clearly in other people, you first have to acknowledge your own capacity for them. We all have that shadow self, right? Just think about that little jolt of pleasure you might feel when you're in a position of power, or the times you've, bent the truth just a little bit to get what you want. Studying this stuff forces you to look in the mirror and face that part of yourself.
So here's the real takeaway. This knowledge is a tool. That's all it is. It can be a shield to defend yourself, or it can be a weapon to control others. And now that you've seen the blueprint for both sides of this coin, you can't unsee it. It's in your head now. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with it?